There's a simple idea that separates great leaders from everyone else. It's not intelligence. It's not strategy. And it's definitely not the ability to push people harder and harder until the work gets done. The real difference, maybe the only meaningful difference, is that great leaders choose purpose over pressure. Think about it. Pressure is easy. Anyone can apply pressure. Anyone can demand results, set impossible deadlines, raise their voice, threaten consequences, and expect people to perform out of fear. You don't need leadership for that. You just need authority. But purpose is different. Purpose asks you to inspire instead of intimidate. It asks you to speak to the heart instead of the fear. It asks you to show people not just what to do, but why it matters. And that takes courage. Great leaders don't inspire people by demanding results. They inspire by giving people something to believe in. Something that reminds them why they show up. Something that makes the work feel meaningful rather than mechanical. When people believe in something, they don't need pressure. They don't need fear. They don't need someone hovering over their shoulder. Because belief creates its own energy. You can feel the difference. Pressure is heavy. It tightens the chest. It creates this tension that follows you home, sits with you at the dinner table, and climbs into bed with you at night. But purpose feels lighter. It feels like something is pulling you forward instead of pushing you from behind. It gives you direction instead of anxiety. And that shift changes everything. Great leaders understand this. They know that their job isn't to make people stressed, it's to make people clear. They replace fear with trust. They replace stress with clarity. They replace pressure with purpose. And maybe the most important part is this: clarity is not the same thing as control. Pressure tries to control people. It says, do this, or else. But clarity says, here's where we're going. Here's why it matters. And here's how we'll get there, together. Clarity isn't loud. It doesn't bark instructions. It doesn't chase people. It guides them. Trust works the same way. Pressure assumes people won't deliver unless you're constantly watching them. But trust assumes they will. And that belief, just that belief, can be transformative. When someone feels trusted, their shoulders drop. Their mind opens. Their focus improves. And suddenly, they're not working out of fear, they're working out of pride. This is where purpose becomes powerful. Pressure may get compliance, but purpose earns commitment. And commitment, real commitment, is something you cannot buy, demand, or force. Let me give you an example. Imagine two teams. In the first team, the leader walks around reminding everyone of the metrics, the deadlines, the consequences. Every meeting feels like a countdown clock. Every message feels like a warning. People work, yes, but they work with tension in their bodies. They work looking at the time. They work hoping they don't get blamed. Now imagine the second team. The leader begins the meeting not with targets, but with meaning. Not with pressure, but with purpose. They say, here's the impact we're trying to make. Here's what this work means to the people we serve. Here's why your role matters. And then they trust the team to figure out the best way to get there. In the first team, people act because they have to. In the second, people act because they want to. The work might look similar from the outside, same tasks, same tools, same hours. But inside, the experience is completely different. One team is surviving, the other is living. One is stressed, the other is focused. One is pressured, the other is purposeful. This is what great leaders know. Human beings are not machines. We're not motivated by commands. We're motivated by meaning. We're not built for pressure, we're built for purpose. Think back to moments in your own life when you felt truly committed to something. Maybe it was a project. Maybe it was a cause. Maybe it was a person or a community. Whatever it was, I guarantee your commitment didn't come from someone pressuring you. It came from something internal. Something that mattered to you. Something you believed in. Leadership is about creating that same feeling for others. It's about showing people that the work they do contributes to something bigger than themselves. It's about helping them see that they're not just completing tasks, they're shaping outcomes. They're building something. They're contributing to something meaningful. And here's the interesting part. When people feel purpose, performance naturally improves. Not because someone demanded it, but because people are fueled from within. They go the extra mile because they care. They take responsibility because they feel ownership. They innovate because they believe their ideas matter. And they support each other because they're all part of something that feels shared. Pressure doesn't create this. Pressure breaks this. Pressure isolates people. It divides teams. It replaces collaboration with competition. It creates this silent culture where everyone is doing just enough to avoid trouble, but nobody is doing their best. Purpose creates the opposite. Purpose unites people. It connects them. It gives them a shared lens through which they can see each other, not as obstacles but as allies. Not as rivals, but as partners. Great leaders know this. They know that people don't rise to pressure, they rise to purpose. People will give their energy to pressure, but they'll give their heart to purpose. And when you have someone's heart, you unlock their true potential. Think of the leaders who've impacted your life in a meaningful way. Maybe it was a teacher, a coach, a manager, a parent, or a mentor. Chances are, they didn't pressure you. They believed in you. They made you feel capable. They made you feel seen. They gave you a reason to try harder, not because you were afraid of failing, but because you wanted to grow. That's what leadership is. It's not about commanding energy, it's about igniting it. And the beautiful thing is, anyone can do this. You don't need a title. You don't need a corner office. Leadership has nothing to do with position and everything to do with intention. The moment you choose purpose over pressure, you are already leading. Maybe you're leading a team. Maybe you're leading a family. Maybe you're leading a project, or maybe you're simply leading yourself. Wherever you are, the principle is the same. Pressure makes people tense, but purpose makes them strong. Pressure says, I need you to produce. Purpose says, I believe you can contribute. Pressure creates followers. Purpose creates leaders. Pressure makes people compliant. Purpose makes people committed. The world has enough pressure. People wake up with it. They carry it with them. They feel it from society, from expectations, from circumstances, and sometimes, from themselves. What people are desperate for, often without even realizing it, is purpose. Something to connect to. Something to believe in. Something that makes them feel that what they do matters. And leaders have the power to give them that. When you speak to someone's pressure, you activate their fear. But when you speak to their purpose, you activate their potential. When you lead with pressure, people may move quickly, but they break easily. When you lead with purpose, they move steadily, and they grow stronger with every step. Great leaders have learned this truth. They've learned that results are not something you squeeze out of people. Results are something that emerge when people feel inspired, trusted, valued, and connected. So if you want people to comply, pressure might work. But if you want people to commit, if you want people to give their best, not because they're forced to, but because they're inspired to, then choose purpose. Choose clarity. Choose trust. Choose belief. Choose meaning. Because people don't commit to demands. They commit to purpose.